Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, worshippers of all ages, welcome to YouTube. My name is SeaRaptor, and today we're here to talk about the latest PR stumble that wargaming has unfortunately found themselves in. I don't know that I had intended to make a video about this whole situation, but I had enough people kind of ask for my take on it, which I'm not used to, right? I'm used to people looking for the jingles vid and the flamu vid and so on. But I had a couple people be like, "So what do you think about all this?" And I had a couple of long conversations with some of my guildmates in our our clan only channel, right? Because you're at a point where with a topic like this, you can't have a rational conversation about this on the forums or on Reddit. Because if you're not on the side of instant rage, wargaming are money hungry idiots, then you're a shill, right? You're a puppet with wargaming's hand up your ass, and you can't have that conversation. People are so outraged. There's no rational conversation to be had there. So instead, I had that conversation with people behind closed doors, which was actually really really enlightening because there were some aspects of all of this that I hadn't considered. Um, I guess for me, I spent some time ordinarily I spend time on PTS, and I did this last patch. I went on PTS. I wasn't there very long, maybe 10 minutes, right? I didn't do the whole video thing that some of these guys had done. That Jingles and Flamey did talk through the whole thing, but I remember spending a little time in the dockyard and looking at it and thinking, man, this is super freaking cool. Look at this. You get to watch them add the armor. You get to watch them lay the keel. Like, this is really, really cool. And then, of course, just all the little rewards you get along the way for doing this stuff. Like, this is a fabulous feature. I can't wait to see them use this time and time again. This is going to be so awesome. And then I went on with my life, right? I didn't make a video about it. I was like, no, this is good. I just was curious about it. And then, of course, I didn't really spend any time looking at the directors. I didn't even play a single game on the PTS. So I had no idea what we were getting in for. Until, of course, the patch dropped on NA on, I guess it was Wednesday. And I woke up on Wednesday morning and logged in for a few minutes and was looking around at some of these directives. And I went, what in the... Are you serious? Seriously, guys? Look at some of this stuff. And then, of course, as you dug a little deeper, it became kind of, I won't say obvious, but became kind of apparent that as you dig through these directives, that these first two or three, right, that like the first one in particular is not horribly egregious, right? Like, there's the stuff in here takes some time, but you can get them done, okay? The second one is where it starts to go, you're scratching your head like, okay, so this is obviously meant to be the sort of thing that takes several weeks to get. And the third one, excuse me, as well. Okay, so if your only goal is to get Gorizia, then you're going to spend a non-zero amount of time playing over the holidays to earn her. At the same time, you're probably already doing that to knock off snowflakes anyway, right? And at the end of the day, I'll be 100% honest, Gorizia, I mean, if you don't get a Gorizia, you're not missing out on anything, right? To me, Gorizia remains an inferior Zara. She's better at one thing only, and that is hunting destroyers. That's it. In every other respect, Zara is a better ship, and you don't have to go through this grind or whatever to get to her. So if you don't get a Gorizia, you're really not missing anything. Let me tell you, okay. But then it's like, okay, well, how do I get to Puerto Rico? And then I started looking into the spreadsheets and be like, wow, okay, so if you have to spend a bunch of money to kind of get the grind started. Okay, makes sense. I mean, this is a tier 9 premium, or tier 10 premium, excuse me. But then it's like, holy bejesus, look at some of this stuff. The ones that really got me were these. 350,000 free experience. This is, to me, this is just like, are you on crack? Like, this is crazy. And I say that because I'm used to playing with a group of guys that on occasion, when you have one of the big XP events come through, we'll get a group of guys together. We'll stack up all of our free XP flags and camos, so where you're getting like, 1,300% free XP or something like this. And you go and you play a lot of these tier 7 operations. And if you have a pretty good game, you can have a game where you rack up 25,000 free XP, right? Like, that's doable. You have to invest a lot of these special econ flags to get there. But then this narrows that field. You have to be in a French-German battleship, okay? You have to be in only 3 tiers in the game, okay? And, oh, by the way, random co-op clan battles. Wow. So like at best, let's just assume for a minute you had a series of really good games and you managed to scrape out an average of about 10,000 free XP with all of these bonuses on it. That still is going to take you some time, right? And you got to do this multiple times, like and wow, just wow. I mean, if these overlapped a little bit, like okay, so the only ones that I can be working on, I have to basically I have to pick one of these down below, one of them. At the same time, while working, I'll be working on this one and this credit earning one. So at most, I'm working on 3 simultaneously. At most, but eventually you'll come a point where you've played enough games that you've knocked out these top 2, and you're only working on one at a time. And that's just the 7th directive. Like you have to go through a lot of pain to get there. I was really kind of disappointed. I was really disappointed to see this because like Puerto Rico is not the best ship in the game. If you've watched the channel, you've seen a lot of. I've spent a lot of time playing Puerto Rico. I made a lot of videos on Puerto Rico, probably more than I've done for many other ships because I wanted to like the ship. And it went through a few iterations. And where they finally landed, it is not a bad ship. It's not a great ship. Is it superior to Alaska? It's debatable. I honestly think there's a valid argument to be made that Alaska is still a better ship. And you don't have to go through all this pain to get that experience, to get the experience of playing one. So, I mean, at the end of the day, if you don't end up with a Puerto Rico, I don't want to say you're not missing anything. But at the same time, I will say, you'll probably be okay. If you have an Alaska, you're getting the same experience. And for the moment, like in competitive play, like in King of the Sea, we've basically decided, we're keeping the ship off the King of the Sea roster right now because she's not easily accessible. She's not readily accessible to the majority of the player base. Now they've said they're going to find an alternate way to offer this ship later down the road. Okay, that's good. I mean, that's encouraging at least. But something like this, and where they've kind of stumbled again and again, and it's kind of how they've responded to the community about it. Now, the community hasn't done themselves any favors, right? I've seen some clips. I was watching a little bit of the EU community stream live from this past Thursday, and that was disappointing, right? It was disappointing. It was disappointing to see that people basically have just allowed their outrage to outstrip their ability to communicate. And that's never a good thing, right? Like I'm a professional. I'm not a professional engineer. I don't have to stamp anything, but I'm an engineer. I work in a professional setting all the time. And if nothing else, I've seen people sit in a meeting full of people and get pissed off, right? I've seen it. But nobody on planet Earth communicates well when they're angry. Ever. You don't hear it. You don't hear what other people are saying to you, and you don't say intelligent and you don't say good things back. You don't say things back that can be understood or that make a whole lot of sense. So when you're angry, that's not the time, in my opinion, to be like posting and typing, and because you're just channeling emotion. You're channeling rage, right? So it's better that you take a step back, go away for a bit, collect some thoughts into like a rational, okay, here's why this is bad, kind of thing, and then come back and make a nice concise post or an email or whatever. And here's my argument, and here's why I think you're full of shit, or whatever. Here's why I think you're full of crap. And there you go. That's, to me, that's the best way to go about it. But this is the internet. This is Reddit or Twitch or Twitter or whatever, and we don't do that. We are an outrage culture. And it's really frustrating to see. It's really frustrating to see because I expect, not only do I expect better of wargaming, right? Because we've been, what is this, our 4th Christmas event, right? But I also expect better of the player base, right? You guys are better than that. You are. I've met literally thousands of you at various events, interacting with you on tournaments, whatever. And I know better, right? I know you guys. We're all angry, right? Like this is kind of silly, right? Like the idea that you were going to grind this thing out for free is kind of silly, and I'm going to get back to that in a minute. But yeah, just. And then of course, wargaming doesn't do themselves any favors, right? Conway's Twitch clip from the EU stream on Thursday was just horrid, right? Like, I feel bad for the guy. He's at the pointy end of the spear. He's having to sit up there and kind of defend decisions that he didn't make. And so I've been that guy. I know how frustrating that is, right? But at the same time, to basically say, to sum it up, to basically say, well, we don't have time to do this. We have jobs. Well, man, kind of on this end of the camera, so do we too. Like, Oh, you shouldn't have said that, as Hagrid would have said. Shouldn't have told you that. So yeah, that was frustrating. And then the apology on Reddit was like, I understand where Sub was going. Like, I understand he was basically trying to explain to people their thought process, but it wasn't really an apology. It's just frustrating. So I guess for me, like where I'm at, I'm just disappointed. I'm not angry. I'm not raging. It doesn't get you anything, right? As you get older in life, you learn that righteous anger really doesn't get you anything. So it's pointless. I've also learned to fear people who are much more controlled in their rage, because they're the ones that usually find ways to enact very creative revenge. So, but yeah, I'm disappointed, and I think more than anything, I'm really disappointed because to me, the really terrifying message here that I'm getting from wargaming when I look over these kinds of directives is that they're okay with people potentially sacrificing their health to grind out this ship. And to me, that's not okay, right? At no this where the industry I work in, right, offshore oil and gas, we're very sensitive to injury, you know, God forbid, death, right? But the safety of the people that we work with, that are going to eventually operate the facilities that we design and install is something you consider at every step of the process, always. And so when I see stuff like this, 47 million potential damage, like this to me is this it's disrespectful because it feels like the health and physical well-being of the player is being left out of the equation here, right? And wargaming, I read an article this week, and I'll link it down below, an interview with Wargaming CEO talking about a new title that they're working on out of one of their UK developing offices. And he has a really great quote in the middle of this article. Give me a moment. I'm going to go find it real fast. I want to read it to you because when I read this quote, I thought, okay, so now I'm starting to understand the company a little better. When you make free-to-play games, a lot of what you're doing is you have to understand the psychology of the player, right? Of the players and compulsive behaviors a little bit. Here we go. Here we go. Now they're talking to him about World of Tanks, so that's the context from what this quote comes from. It says, "Quote: Don't get me wrong, World of Tanks keeps going. It's not going anywhere. After 10 years, we've figured out which geographies, which demographics, and which social or psychological player types take it as their digital hobby. And it's not just a game you buy on the shelf at Christmas time. It's a digital hobby. How do I know? Because I've been playing it myself for the last 10 years." And to me, the telling part of that, the interesting part of that is where he talks about we figured out which geographies, which demographics, which social and psychological player types take it as their digital hobby. Make no mistake, right? If you run a free-to-play game, wargaming, one of their goals is to find a way to get you to spend money. And I'm not talking about making a mediocre ship in the tech tree. I'm talking about events such as this one that are encouraging you to part with some of your cash. It's the exact same thing that happens to you when you go to Las Vegas. When you go to any casino in the world, the entire casino is designed to part you from your money. Every theme park you've ever been to in the world is designed to part you from your money. Every cruise ship you've ever been on in the world is designed to part you from your money, right? And so there's an entire science, the psychology of getting people to do that, to do just that, because people are naturally inclined in general to not want to spend money. So how do you do that? How do you convince them to do that? And there's a whole psychological, social profile, all of that stuff, all of that feeds into how you convince people to do that. And in wargaming, for a company that's been running free-to-play games for 10 years, obviously has to be really good at thinking through this process. And it's very clearly that a lot of that thought process and a lot of that went into this design. But my frustration, my concern is more that, fellas, to some extent, you're asking players to grind in order to grind this ship for free. You're asking players to make some very, very unhealthy choices in their life. And that's where I kind of wag my finger and say, shame on you guys, right? To me, that's well, how people spend their time is not none of my concern. If somebody wants to grind this ship out, right? Like I don't care, right? That's how you spend your time. But my frustration is that I feel like with these totals and the way these directives are designed, someone might do themselves physical harm trying to grind out this ship for the freeway in order to save money, or in order to have to earn a ship because they don't have the money to spend. And to me, that's the saddest part of all. Anyway, guys, that's my thoughts on the matter. I'm around on Twitter. You can find me on Discord or the forums if you really want to pick my brain some more. Otherwise, good luck getting. I hope you do manage to get a Gorizia. If you don't, well, again, like I said, you're not missing a whole lot. And if you don't manage to get a Puerto Rico, they've said she'll be available again some other way in the long haul. So maybe you can get one that way. I do hope everybody's able to finally grab the ship. She is fun to play, but I do think Alaska is ultimately probably still a stronger ship. Take care, be safe out there, and I'll catch you next time.